Even now, with what we know and what's coming out every single day, those who fell for the lie don't want to leave the lie, because to leave the lie means they have to face the reality that they were idiots.
Hey, people, that's Katie Hopkins. She's the whole shebang. She's hot and she's smart. And a lot of people say she ain't afraid to say it, but I bet she's holding back a bunch. I'll leave the link down below. I say some things sometimes that I don't actually believe. And what I mean is, if you look into it and try to prove me wrong, you'll find out that somebody's trying to hide something. But they say the earliest known written records of Latin is from the 7th century BC, 2,700 years ago. Around Palatine Hill, up there in Rome, in the Seven Hills, when Romulus and his brother come and began Rome, they had to build a new city and a new language to go with it. And so I said in that movie yesterday, that Latin, that's the language change of the Bible. I was reading, got to chapter 11, it said God come down and change the language. And so if the language has changed, how do I know when it changed and who changed it? How do I know if anything else is true? That's why I had to look into the language. And the whole Bible, every story in it, it's just hollering at you to question this, question this. But I look up words all day long. I find them in the Hebrew. And they always say it comes from a Latin origin. Sometimes it'll come from Greek. So either they're acknowledging that the Hebrew Bible is not as old as they say it is, or they refuse to acknowledge the language in it. And here's one of the most recent I found was medicine. They'll say it comes from medior, to heal, cure, remedy, and ichus, belonging to, coming from the healer. But it actually comes from the ancient English word, and it's the same place where discipline comes from. They don't want you to know what that means either. But a metis is that thing that the Ashu carried around to mix up his herbs in. It was the mortar, a metis. And the N is what was in the metis. He was grinding up medicine. You can see here that AI is trying to agree with me on this, that they have a Maktish, but also a metis, just the MDCE, the metis. And this is somebody who doesn't understand. They're trying to pronounce every letter. MDKE. No, it's just the metis. It's here in Numbers 11:8, and they went and collected all the manna and went about the people and gathered it and ground it on millstones, or they beat it in the mortar in metis, MDCE, in metis. And this is B is just pronounced N. You see it right here, in metis. The mortar is metis, in metis. Say it 3 times real fast. In medicine, medicine, medicine. And so it's talking about the Ashu and what he slew, and the medicine of slew. But here it says that he's cooking up some LSD, and he's LSDism in. He's putting LSD in these white crackers, and that would be the Greek word for these pastries they put in here. It was called white crackers. And this is, the one who was doing this, he's the Ashu. That's the ancient word for the medicinal doctor, skilled with herbs and astrology. And so Ashu, it has a couple different spellings and a couple different meanings. He was a medical doctor, but he was also the stars. And God sneezed, Ashu, and became all the stars. And that's the Egyptian word for the stars. And he made. And when he gets this stuff cooked up just right, in a barbum, Ashu, the fire of the Lord. That's some crystal meth there. And I don't make this up. It plainly says it here in the Greek. And the manna is as seed, as a coriander, and the appearance of it as the appearance of ice is the crystal you. And this appearance, the two, they're making fun of. Usually, if the L is in the Hebrew, they'll put a 2 in the Greek. And they want you to read that as a light. Leit. the light as, the appearance, the light as of to a white, the white as the crystal you. So it starts out with a definition of where Romulus come from. Romulus, Ra, they say it adversity, and it always, they say it means evil, bad. And Mulos, that's Mulo, Romulus, the evil millstone. He's cooking up the evil drugs. They interpret this as the people were complaining and God heard it, so he set their ass on fire. What it actually says is rob a zine. Steal a paper, a zine, magazine, a written publishment, and steal a zine, rob a paper, and you will hear that the anger of the people, what a barbum, what a cookum, a barbum, a shoe, what cook their shoe. I'm so hungry, I could eat my shoe. Common practice when people are starving to death, they're barbecue their boot leather. And it looks like this. It's 3 small paragraphs, 3 lines each until it gets to this big paragraph. And so this first paragraph ends, and they said they were so hungry they could eat a shoe, so he called that place. And who crash them come, the people that come here to sleep, who crash them come, hide, Hide. And hide it, a vorsivorce. A vorsivorce is a poetic way of saying die to divorce, a divorce. And they call it the high divorce, and divorce of a shoe. And they divorced their shoe, they ate their shoe. And then the next one, they start complaining. You remember in Egypt, we had it so good, we ate for free. And this is the ruling political party, Remember when we had it good, the officials, we were the office. And we ate for free, we just put it on the people's account freely. And we had the cucumbers and the melons and the leeks and the onions and the garlic. But now our whole being is dried up, and there is nothing at all except unto the man-child. The Ninu. The Ninu. Ninu, Spanish, the child, the firstborn son. They made up this fantasy story about manna from the heavens because they didn't want to face up to the fact that it was just the man and the Ninu, the child. That's the whole idea of Jesus being born in a manger. The manger's where you feed the hogs. So that's a good word of the day, melons. If a chick has got some big old melons, you would say she haveth them. Some don't, and some haveth. And I see this word lined up in here. I used to always call that what, W-A-T. And I've recently found out that this turns into a D-E, and this is more of a debt. And it turns out that debt and what have the same meaning anyway. It means the determinative. And you see the whole Bible's like that. You start reading it and you never know what it's talking about until you read the next determinative, what. And so they were complaining about not having nothing to eat. And they said, remember the good old days, back in Egypt when we ate for free. Is crend, K-R-N-D-E-T, is a crendited, a gash, a gasher knuckle inum crime, inum criminum, we're stealing them. That's where the word Egypt come from. You see in the Greek, it's the gift. Oh, it was a gift. No, you was a criminum. You was stealing them. At officium, and your official duties as a government, and you was eating for free. What haveth what the checkser? That's you pull up your skirt. Let me see. No man passes point. What haveth what's the checkser? And what of it slim? What of it slim is one that's snuck by, or not having enough of it slim. what is when. And this tails off the most of it right here. But now our whole being is dried up. And this is a vote, a VOTE in fishing. They're voting fishing. These are politicians. And the voting fishing YNCing. A clubbing let y'all the men any new. So it wasn't the men, the baby, but it was the club, that private club. Not all, a selection, the club. You have to be in the club. The club let y'all the men he knew. The old white men's club. Except this one wasn't just old white men. You can see after there was a fire, that burnt some of those around the outskirts, and there was talk amongst the intermixed people with great desire and whipped and wanting to be fed meats. You remember the fish and the melons in Egypt, and ain't nothing here but manna, and its light is white as crystal, and traveled around all the people and collected it all and milled it and ground it and hand milled it in the earthen pot. And they made it into a cake baked in hot ashes. And this is a Fiona what of in Qrakers. A Fiona what of in Qrakers. Fiona, ancient word meaning white. White crackers. The club of the old white crackers. And not just white crackers, but the town. The E after the O reads as a W. And the G reading as an N, and the Fiona town crackers, the white town crackers. And this explains what's these special ceremony that they went through here. So this is plainly telling the story of the ancient Ashu in the ancient English language and his job of cooking up in the medicine here. And this is And immense's row. And immense's row. A romance. Row, the evil and out of hand. The romance. To emancipate, to be out of hand. No longer being led on your own. And immense's a rugged. And out of hand, rugged. It of in a sieve, the N followed by the ear, a sieve of victual, the fill, or in dollar. I believe that means green, not white. In the dollars to whom walked within of Richam. Just in this short walk around your grounds, over where the richy riches live, in their private territory, and immense is rugged, it who enceive the victuals to whom walked within of Richam, of the Richam of Dick. He's old Richam of Dick over there. Richam of Dick in Metis. Of slew, of put it together, slung it together. Of slew in pairware. And so this is the medis, and the N is here. The medicine pairware. But this is just adding a little bit more to it, It's not just the medicine, but the medis that of slew, throw together in pairware. And this is Pyrex pairware. You'll see it the first time it talks about this. It's talking about the utensils and the pans are made out of vitro fortu, Pyrex. And in pairware, a wash. The VA here, reading as a T. And wash. So everything having to do with the Ashu. The word's set up where it can and read different ways, but it's the wash. To make sure all the pairware, my Pyrex is washed. WSH HT, washed. They washed it and made of it, in pans and made of it, in pareware washed it. And usually that has something to do with dyes. And that was the Oshu, he was in charge of the drugs and dyes. In pareware washed a donut. This is donut. I tell you this G. Sometimes it reads the N. I'm not sure exactly when. But I'm pretty sure this is one of the times right here. The cakes. O-G-U-T. Your gut. A gut and a donut come from the same place. The toe nut of it cakes. And this, what it's trying to do is trying to catch a cop. That's how you bait your fishing line when you're trying to catch a cop. That about 6,000 years ago, they used to put a donut. The donut, the way to look too mustum, to get it just right. Too mustum, and just a little bit of this, the LSD-ism in. You got to get it just right. Just 2 drops per blot. And so why would you want to lace a donut, with LSD? Is to get the cop to quit beating you so hard with that club. And you'll see it in the Latin and the Greek. They don't sway from that. And bared it, and when fell and drop your pants, and bared it. And bared it, the tell-all. Drop your pants and that's going to tell all. And bared it, the tell-all. The mental ill. The camp in the night fell. In the night fell is a little herd. We didn't hear much. Just a little herd. Quiet. Lights out. And the mental ill herd the men all of. And so I caught this in the end here. The ollie in the alley. And it let me know that this is the feminine and the alley is the masculine. But if you look closer into where it was talking above here, and you can have all that for free. You can have all that, but you got to remove your zacker, your manhood. You remember, and your zacker is the same thing. Back when I was a kid, there was a huge part of the population that wouldn't take the hand off of their dick. And it was rubbing off on everybody else. You had to tell everybody to take your hand off your dick. And if you was to ask these people why you always got your hand on your dick, the answer would be, well, the white man done got everything else. And it seems that this is an ancient joke. Who will give us meat to eat? So if you worked in the royal house, you either had to be feminine or effeminate. You could stay over there and work in the royal house, but you're going to have to be a femme, to allow to what a femme. And you see over here in the Hebrew, that's the holy. And the men, the M-E-N-A-V, the men of, are the Ali, high. And the holy, is the femme again. See, it's spelled a little different, but it's still, the E-F-E-M-E, a femme. Same thing. This E and this O-I are the same. Down here in 13, they interpret this as, from what place it is to me meats to give to all this people. For they weep upon me, saying, give to us meats that we may eat. But we may eat as the fag of men. A fag of men. And this is a pardon. Pardon me, sir. Pardon me. A Cree. That's just short for creature, meaning living being, meats. And pardon me, Cree, a down-edged panty, and too loud of to ought to call yous of fem allegiance to the feminine, a fem allegiance. And this is the motto of the fem allegiance. And does come in, and this isn't Cree anymore. It's all these words are designed like this to change, but it's followed by the I now. So this is a K-R-E-U, and a K-R-E-U-N, and a croon of fagamen. A crone, that's where the word groan come from. And a allegiance does come in a groan of fagamin. I don't make none of this up, it's right here, it's a crone, and the crone, inflection of a croning, to moan. So let me cut this off here. I'll look some more into what kind of pastries they were cooking up in the Latin and the Greek here. Good day.